You've been in a room full of people and felt completely alone, not because no one was talking to you, but because no one was saying anything real. That feeling? It's not a flaw. It might be your most dangerous asset if you've ever felt too aware, too restless, too difficult to explain. Stay with me, because what most people call a problem, the Stoics called preparation. There's a specific kind of intelligence that doesn't show up on tests. It doesn't make you popular. It makes you perceptive. And perception, if you don't know how to carry it, will wear you down. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what that intelligence is, why it isolates you, and how to stop letting it work against you. But first, there's one uncomfortable truth you need to hear before any of this makes sense. Most people assume that being smart makes life easier. It doesn't. It makes life louder. You hear things others miss. You feel things before they happen. You see through people faster than you'd like to. And instead of feeling like a gift, it often just feels like noise you can't turn off. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus wasn't born into privilege. He was a slave. And yet he became one of the most precise thinkers in history. His entire philosophy was built on one simple observation. It's not the world that disturbs you. It's your judgment about the world. The intelligent mind generates more judgments, faster, about more things. That's the trap. More awareness, more suffering. Unless you train the mind to hold what it sees without being crushed by it. That's what this video is. Training, the first sign. You see patterns others miss, and it exhausts you. You walk into a situation and already know how it ends. You watch a conversation unfold and see 3 moves ahead. You read a room before a single word is spoken. Most people call this intuition. Psychologists call it high cognitive sensitivity. You call it exhausting. Here's the mistake most people make with this gift. They use it to worry. They see the pattern and immediately calculate every way it could go wrong. The mind becomes a risk engine running 24 hours a day. Marcus Aurelius dealt with this. He led an empire through plague, war, and betrayal. And in his private journal, he kept writing the same reminder to himself. You don't control what happens. You control your response to it. The Stoic move here is to separate observation from catastrophe. When you notice a pattern, pause. Ask yourself, is this a fact or is this my interpretation of a fact? See clearly, then release the outcome. You've done your part by seeing. You are not required to carry every consequence of what you've noticed. The second sign, you question everything, and people don't always like you for it. You can't take things at face value. You challenge ideas, including your own. You ask why when everyone else has already moved on. This is one of the most powerful traits a human being can have. It's also one of the loneliest. Socrates did this. He walked through Athens asking hard questions, pulling people's assumptions apart, not to be difficult, but because he believed unexamined thinking caused unnecessary suffering. They killed him for it. That's not meant to be dramatic. It's meant to be honest. People who ask real questions make others feel exposed. And when people feel exposed, they get defensive. The Stoic move is this. Question everything, but practice what Epictetus called the discipline of desire. Don't need people to follow you into the question. Don't need to win the argument. The act of thinking clearly is already the virtue. You don't need applause for it. In a moment, I'll give you a simple daily exercise that puts all of this into practice. But before that, one more uncomfortable truth is coming. The third sign. You feel out of place, even among people who are supposed to be your people. This one cuts deep. It's not arrogance. You don't think you're better than anyone. You just feel like you're watching life through a different lens than everyone around you. The conversations feel thin. The social rituals feel hollow. And you wonder if something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Psychologists describe this as asynchronous development. Your internal world moves at a different pace than the social world around you. Miyamoto Musashi, the Japanese swordsman and philosopher, never belonged to a school of thought. He trained alone. He thought alone. Not because he was antisocial, but because his mind required a different kind of environment. The Stoic move is to stop waiting for your environment to match your interiority. Build inward. Seneca wrote that the person who is brave is free. Freedom begins when you stop needing the room to understand you before you can stand comfortably in it. The fourth sign. You read people like open books, and it makes relationships complicated. You detect inconsistencies between what people say and what they mean. You notice micro-shifts in energy. You clock when someone is performing versus when they're being real. This is powerful. It's also isolating, because you often know more about what someone is actually feeling than they've told you, and you can never fully explain how. Here's the mistake most people with this trait make. They use it to judge. They see through someone and decide immediately who that person is. But seeing clearly is not the same as seeing completely. The Stoics would say you're confusing perception with wisdom. Perception gives you data. Wisdom teaches you what to do with it. The Stoic move is compassion informed by clarity. When you read someone's fear or insecurity underneath their behavior, don't armor up. Understand that most difficult behavior comes from pain. You already have the perception. Now add the patience. The fifth sign. Complexity doesn't scare you. Stillness does. You come alive when the problem is hard. You do your best thinking under pressure. You get restless when life is too smooth. And you suspect quietly that you sometimes create chaos because simplicity feels unbearable. Marcus Aurelius governed the most complex empire in the ancient world. Wars, plagues, betrayal within his own family. And in the middle of all of it, he kept returning to the same practice. Return to yourself, not to fix everything, not to solve everything, but to remain grounded while everything moved around him. The dangerous mind that seeks complexity without stillness eventually burns. The Stoics didn't just teach how to handle hard things. They taught you how to sit with yourself when there was nothing to handle. That is the hardest practice for you, and it is the most necessary. Now, here is your exercise. Do this today. Sit somewhere quiet. Take a plain piece of paper. Write down one situation in your life right now that is causing you friction. Then divide the page into 2 columns. On the left, write everything about this situation that is outside your control. The other person's reaction, the timeline, the outcome, what other people think. On the right, write everything that is inside your control, your response, your preparation, your interpretation, your next action. Now here's the key step. Cross out the left column, not because it doesn't matter, but because it is not your department. Everything in that column is noise. Direct every ounce of your intelligence toward the right column only. This is what the Stoics called the dichotomy of control, and for a mind like yours, it is not just a philosophical idea, it is a survival tool, because your mind will naturally expand into everything it can perceive. Without this practice, you will spend your sharpest energy on things you cannot change. Here is what we covered. Seeing patterns is a gift, but only if you separate observation from catastrophe. Questioning everything is strength, but it doesn't require approval. Feeling out of place is not a defect. It is asynchronous development. Reading people is power, but wisdom asks you to add compassion to clarity, and thriving in complexity will cost you everything if you never learn to be still. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, and I'll paraphrase, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That is the whole philosophy. Everything else is commentary. If this kind of thinking is useful to you, the next video goes deeper into how to build daily Stoic discipline, not through motivation, but through structure. Drop in the comments which of the 5 signs hit closest to home. That tells me what to build next.